Hill, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game called Exanima, or Sui Generis. It's a game that's been in development for almost as long as Star Citizen. Sure, it's a much smaller budget and a much smaller dev team, but I think they're looking for the longest development game award. Still, they do release updates for the game every maybe 2 years. They do dev blogs every few months as well to give people an update on what's going on with the game development and so on, but it's very, very slow. And also the devs can be pretty sarcastic when replying to comments in the Steam forums, that's for sure. And it looks to have pissed off a few people, but the game still has mostly positive reviews on Steam, even though it's been in early access for 10 years. So yeah, let's jump in and take a look what it's like playing this physics-based combat RPG as a new player. There's a few different game modes. You get like the single player kind of story campaign, and then there's an arena mode as well where you get to kind of manage I guess a gladiatorial team of fighters, which we'll have a look at in a bit. But yeah, let's just jump into the kind of single player side of things first and see what it's like creating a character. So when you first start this game, you've only got a choice of unknown. Later you can choose some different options. But yeah, as you can see here, you got your physique, your height, you can choose your age and so on. Now, when this originally came out, it used to be good to be a big, fat, tall, muscly guy because it's physics-based, you used to be able to put more weight around your swings and stuff like that. Or at least it felt that way. And I'm not sure if it's still the case or not, but yeah, it's pretty different, this. There's very few options for hairs. I don't think this has changed since the very first time it went into early access. And then you just carry on and you get to choose some basic equipment to start with. All equipment does have protective properties, and you also get to choose a skill to start with. So your items you start with are very basic and your skills are very basic. Does look like they've added some kind of magic system to the game as well. This was not in the game the last time I played. So yeah. Yeah, see, it does get new updates. So you start the game in this dungeon. You kind of just wake up with nothing other than the clothes that you start with. And there's this torch next to you as well that you can pick up and equip. So picking up and equipping stuff is pretty straightforward. Anything on the ground you can kind of just left click and drag into your inventory. You can also kind of manipulate most of the things in the environment as well, as long as they're not too heavy. You can stack them on top of each other, whatever, and sometimes you can find items underneath, like stacks of boxes, so sometimes it's worth taking a look. But yeah, there was a weapon here straight on the floor, so I just grabbed that, and it's actually half a decent. So all weapons and equipment all have different stats, as you can see here. This is like a thrusting weapon that I found that's in my inventory, and the first one I picked up is more of a kind of a blunt with some piercing damage on it because it's got nails in it as well. Clothes has protection against different types of damage. So you can, when you get into the game, you can kind of stack your armor up. So you have like a lower layer, then a middle layer, then an upper layer to give you like better protection. And you can go all the way up to kind of plate armor and stuff like that. And of course, weapons, you got the swords, big maces, and so on. But yeah, when you start out, it's just very basic, wooden clubs and axes and, wood axes and stuff like that, so nothing super big to start with. Interacting with stuff in the game is left click and drag. So the door, you've got to left click on it and drag it to open it. And some doors are locked that you'll have to find keys for, so you can't open. You'll have to go in one of the different directions. It's kind of like a bit of a maze, this dungeon. There's no map or anything, so you have no idea where you are. You don't even know why you're here, really, other than the little note you start with in your inventory. But this game is all about exploring and finding items to try and escape this dungeon and to get to the rest of the game. Moving around can be done with the WASD key, but it's a bit clunky for moving around in the open world like this. I find using the right mouse button and just dragging further away from you to get faster is a better way of moving around. You can press tab to go into combat. Left click is swing. And basically you can do harder swings the faster you kind of swing your mouse. It's all kind of based on the physics of your swings. There are enemies in this single player mode, of course, in the form of zombies. But these guys are pretty dull to start with. They just keep swinging, so it's quite easy to get in and get your attacks on just to kill them. But you do get harder AI later on, and you've got to be really careful because you can get hit a couple of times and you can go down pretty fast. And it's pretty punishing. I guess you could say kind of Dark Souls type punishing, really. If you die, you have to start again. Yeah, there's no lives or anything like that in it. So you've got to be careful. And yeah, you've got to explore around, find better items. You'll find chests like this that contain items. You can just double click and open up to grab it. And you can see I've got a nice double-handed weapon there, a belt, which all adds to protection, and a nice bill hook thing as well. Now you can compare the stats and decide which one's better to use. Obviously the two-handed weapons do more damage and give you more reach, but in this part of the game, there's no lights on the wall, so you've got to be carrying this torch, otherwise it's pitch black. Now I'm not going to lie, that the entire game feels very, very clunky, especially the combat when you first start playing it. But you know, when you get used to how it works, it can be a lot of fun. And it can also be very annoying as well. But, you know, it's just very different moving around in this game. You can trip over objects and fall over, and then, you know, that's going to leave you open to these fucking guys. And sometimes you can just mess up and kind of get your arms into position like the zombie has, and now we can't use his weapon. So yeah, it's definitely early access still. In the single player campaign as well, you can find companions, or at least one companion I've found so far. I guess there's going to be others in the game. And you talk to them, you can just try and find out, you know, a bit of what they're doing down here and so on. And then they'll join you and go around and fight with you. Yeah, to talk to people, is just press T. And here we can see that we can even manage his equipment that he uses. So I'm going to give him a new weapon to use. And then some different leggings and a belt and stuff like that. You know, if you got other spare armor you can give to him, you know, you can do that as well to make him a bit tougher. But it's pretty nice that it actually lets you do that with your companions. As you go through the game as well, you do level up. It is kind of RPG light, I guess. You can choose a few different skills from the new magic skills. They got a couple of different magic scores. You got shield skills if you want to use shield. Ranged, I'm not sure if that's in game yet. You got some skills that can make your armor wearing easier, better, less cumbersome, and so on. Or you've obviously got your weapon skills like feint and you know, you can swing twice and so on. The game is pretty atmospheric though. I mean, the lighting effects in this are really nice. I mean, this is not using looming or ray tracing or anything like that. This is just you know, pure old school lighting effects, and it just works well, runs well, looks decent enough. It's not like super high detail textures or anything like that, but it doesn't really matter. You can't zoom in that close. But from this angle, it looks really nice. And like I said, the lighting is amazing in this. But yeah, that's the single player game really. I won't get into it much more than that because it does take a long time to get into this. But we're going to take a look at the other game mode now, which is called Arena, which is a hell of a lot of fun. The next game mode in this is called Arena. Now it's basically you start up kind of a mercenary company and take part in kind of arena fights. And the whole purpose of this is to kind of make money, get better equipment, take part in the bigger fights, take part in tournaments and win tournaments to get the kind of really good tournament gear that you can win. You get to make your company logo and a company name. And obviously this is just used in the game for just reference for your company. Now, it's pretty hardcore. If you die, the game's over. You have to start a new company. You can hire other members for your company, and you know they can physically die. So if you spend time leveling them up and buying gear for them, and they die, you know you can lose it all. Again, it's got the same kind of character customization for your main guy and for the people you hire as well, or people you recruit. Sorry, you can hire pre-made people, or you can recruit people from scratch, which we'll have a look at as well. And you get a bit more gear to select here as well. So this is the main kind of tavern area, I guess, that you start in, where you manage everything from So you got your managed company here. Obviously, you can recruit people. You can manage your current recruits you got. You can hire people. You can check your arsenal out. You can do your records, just win records and lose records, and just basic everything for your kind of company. Here you got a guy that sells stuff. Now this changes every now and then, and you can also hire your own merchants that will bring a different selection of gear to buy as well. Now each gear has different ranks. As you can see, this one needs adapt, and this one needs aspirant. So, as you level your character up, you can open up more gear to use. And of course, gear costs money, and you've got to, make money from winning fights and so on. If you do buy gear, you can just come into here, and select the type of gear that you bought. Anything highlighted in yellow is currently equipped. So obviously the hat that I just bought isn't. There we go. And now it's highlighted yellow, and I'm wearing my amazing wizard hat. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at the fights. So you get tournaments you can take part in. You get kind of special events and season kind of rewards. If you take part in tournaments and win tournaments, then you can you can win the tournament awards at the end of the season. But each different fight, you get a bit of money out of it. The standard fights are very basic that you can just keep doing, but give very little money. The specials give a little bit more money, but are a bit harder, and you can only do them once a day. And then the tournaments, you've got to be I think, a specific rank to take part in. And as you can see here, these are kind of the awards you would get if you did win the tournament. Some nice gear. So let's just recruit another guy here. You go through the same standard kind of character creation, and then you'll have 2 guys. We'll just jump into elimination here. Eliminations are usually quite easy and decent money, and you get decent enough of XP for your characters as well, I believe, if you win. The kind of real objective of the game, obviously, is to get through these eliminations without taking any damage. But if you do take damage, you will carry it on to the next round. Now, the red is bad damage. The kind of darker yellow is stuff you will recover in the next round. And obviously the yellow bar is just your health. Now, if that yellow bar is all gone, you'll get knocked out. If it just happens to be fully red, you die. You don't want to do that. I take the guy's weapon as well, because you can actually use these people's weapons up until the last fight. You don't get to keep it, sadly. But here you can see my health is recovered at the bottom, except for the red. The only way to recover the red damage is by resting for the day. And that can be slow unless you've got a medic, which we'll see a bit later. I jumped ahead a few fights here to show what happens when you actually lose. Like this. See, luckily I'm only knocked out because it's not a full red bar. Like I said, if it's a full red bar, your guy dies. And as I was playing the main character, if I had died then, the game would have been over. And as I mentioned, the red bar, you don't heal. The only way to get that back is ending the day, and you get a certain amount of it back every day. Unless you've got a medic that can heal a bit more of it. Under the special fights, you also get challenges as well, and they can be any difficulty level. This guy's an expert, and you can see he's fully armored up with a big sword. I don't really have much of a chance for this. The metal bar that I have can do a bit of damage to him, but most of the time it'll just bounce off the armor. And yeah, he'll only need to hit me like once or twice, and I'll be fucking really bad. And bladed weapons, they tend to do more red damage. Whereas the blunt weapons will do more the kind of like the yellow, dark yellow damage and knock you out rather than kill you. So I kind of got lucky here. One more hit and he might have actually killed me. But at least you can see what it's like when you're fighting against people who are in heavy armor. But because of that, I got enough XP basically for an extra skill point. Now I've not gone up a level yet as such. You just unlock extra skills as you go along before you kind of reach the next rank. So I just added an extra melee skill there. And it's kind of the objective of the game, I guess, especially the arena mode, is to go through, make money, kind of level up your guys, get higher ranks so you can fight higher ranked enemies and join in tournaments and stuff. So here we'll see the basically I want to hire a physician, medic. So these guys will pop up here in this list. You can just double click and come in here and hire them. Now they cost quite a bit to hire, and it also costs quite a bit of upkeep, but it allows you to recover more health after every turn, or when you end a day even. So it's definitely worth picking one up. You just got to make sure you can afford the upkeep for them. I think I mentioned before, you can also get merchants as well that'll basically give you access to additional goods to buy as well. Now, this is the standard trader, but you'll get an additional guy that stands like near here as well, where you can buy additional equipment. But again, they cost money and they cost upkeep as well. You can also get trainers as well that'll help train up your guys, but they're very, very expensive. So you got to make sure you got enough income coming in before you pick one of those up for sure. But yeah, you just got to keep going through, kind of leveling your guys up, fighting, making money, getting better gear. And like I said, when they level up a bit, you can actually get a lot better gear for them as well. And yeah, you end up getting up to like the plate armor and the swords and stuff like that, and you can start taking part in tournaments to make even more money and get even better gear. But it can get quite hard, and you are going to lose some of your guys along the way. And you've got to be just very careful you don't lose your main guy, otherwise, like I said, game over. So that is a quick look at Exanima. Now this is definitely not going to be for everyone. It's kind of Dark Souls-like, you know, it's pretty harsh when you die. You got to start from scratch in the campaign and in the arena if your main guy dies. And the combat and the movement is very clunky. And it can take a lot to get used to. And sometimes you'll just die because you've mistimed something and, you know, game over. So yeah, definitely not for everyone. If you easily get frustrated with games, then it's probably best to stay away from this. It's not expensive, you know, so it might be worth the risk if you're not sure about it. It has been in development for like 10 years, so bear that in mind. The devs do still release updates, but every couple of years. I think there's a big one coming soon, but you just never know with them. The game looks nice enough, the audio is nice, and when you do get used to the combat, it's really good, because it's physics based. You know, you get some hits on them and you can feel it hitting them, you know. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time it can be very annoying because of how clunky it is. And if you do happen to pick the game up, you probably want to look on YouTube for some like basic tutorials on how the combat works, because yeah, you'll find it very hard when you first jump into the game. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.